jump right in, hoping that you've already watched part 1 of this video. The first thing that we do is we're going to label each side, and I'm going to label this side the constant side, and I'm going to label the left side the variable side. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with the constants. So I know that over here on the left side, this does not have a variable on it, so I need to move it to the constant side. To move something from one side to the other, you need to use inverse operations. The inverse operations cancel out the operation. Basically, we had a negative 39, we have a positive 39, and that's going to equal 0. So we made it disappear, you could say, on the left side. On the right side, we need to do the same thing, add 39, to maintain equality. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. We're going to carry down this negative 15x, and then we're going to combine 45 and 39 to get a positive 84. So now that we've successfully combined our constants, we're going to move this variable, the negative 15x, to the left side. So this variable with the coefficient is going to move to the left side. To move it from one side to the other, you need to use inverse operations. The inverse operation of subtraction is addition. So I'm going to add 15x to both sides to maintain equality. On the right side, negative 15x plus 15x is equivalent to 0. So I'm left with an 84 on the right side. On the left side, negative 11 plus 15, I get a positive 4x. The final step is to divide each side by 4. And the reason we do that is that the operation going on between the 4 and the x is multiplication. So to get rid of the 4, we need to use the inverse operation. And the 4 divided by 4 is equivalent to 1. And so we get 1x. 84 divided by 4 is equivalent to 21. So we think that x is equal to 21. Since it's easy to make mistakes when you're moving things from one side to the other, you're changing things from positive to negative, it's really important that you check your work. So let's go ahead and rewrite the problem. Negative 39 minus 11x is equal to negative 15x plus 45. Everywhere that you see an x value, we're going to replace it with what we think x is equal to, the 21. So I just start by putting in parentheses wherever there's an x so that I can keep this looking nice and neat so I don't make a mistake. And instead of x, we put in that 21. We're substituting 21 for x. And then we simplify. 11 times 21 gives us 231. And then I copy down the rest of the problem. Negative 39 minus what was in the red box. And then on the right side, I'm going to multiply negative 15 times 21. And I get negative 315. And then I add to that the 45. The next step is to simplify the left side. Negative 39 minus 231, we get negative 270. And then on the right side, negative 315 plus 45, we also get negative 270. When we plugged in the 21, it made the equation true, so we know that 21 is the solution to the equation. Let's look at the next problem. Our next problem is negative 7x minus 50 equals 64 minus 13x. Again, we can't combine like terms on the left side. We can't combine like terms on the right side. So what we're going to do is we're going to label each side. I'm going to label the right side with the variables and the left side with the constants this time, just to mix it up. It doesn't matter which side the constants are on or which side the variables are on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to proceed to get those like terms on the same side. So this time I'm going to start with the variables. I want to move all of the variables to that right side. To cross the equal sign, we need to use the inverse operation. So the inverse operation of subtraction is addition. Negative 7x plus 7x equals 0, so we are left with a negative 50. On the right side, we need to do the same thing to maintain equality. We carry down the 64, and then we take negative 13 and we add 7, and we get negative 6x. 64 and negative 6x are not like terms, so they cannot be combined. I now need to move the constant 64 to the left side. Again, to cross that equal sign, you have to use your inverse operations. The inverse operations make numbers disappear, basically. It gets rid of them. So on this side, we get 64 minus 64 equals 0, and we're left with a negative 6x. Then on the left side, we also need to do the same thing. We need to subtract 64. When you take negative 50 and subtract 64, you get negative 114. Now we're down to our one-step equation step. Negative 6x equals negative 114. The negative 6 is keeping the x from being alone. The operation going on between the negative 6 and the x is multiplication. The inverse of that operation is division. So we're going to divide each side by a negative 6, the number that's keeping the x from being alone. Negative 6 divided by negative 6, like anything over itself, is equal to 1. So we get 1x equals, and negative 114 divided by negative 6 is going to give us a positive 19. So x is equal to 19. We don't need that coefficient of 1. So x equals 19. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check our work. So we want to rewrite the original problem. Negative 7x minus 50 is equal to 64 minus 13x. And wherever there was an x, I'm going to put in parentheses. And I'm going to substitute in for x a 19, because that's what we believe x is equivalent to. And then we simplify. Negative 7 times 19 equals negative 133. And then I rewrite the rest of the problem. On this side, I'm also going to simplify, and I'm going to figure out what 13 times 19 is equal to. And that is 247. And then I have one more step. On the left side, negative 133 minus 50 equals negative 183. 64 minus 247 equals negative 183. If they were not equivalent, you would know that you have a problem. And it might be that x does not equal 19. Or it could be that maybe you made a mistake when you were checking your work. So this is an indication to you, this step is an indication to you that you might have a problem. So it's a good idea to take this step. In this case, negative 183 equals negative 183. We were left with a true statement. So we know that x equals 19 is the solution to the equation. And that's all we have time for in this video.